Good day friends, in the subject of fundamental of investment. This is my second lecture on investors protection. Friends, in my previous lecture, I said that in India, the number of investors who deals in the capital market, who deals in the security market is increasing at a very fast rate. And in the month of August 2022 itself, 22 lakh new investors were being added, means 22 lakh depository accounts were being opened, and for the first time in India, the figure of 10 crore depository accounts has been touched. This is the result of that the efforts of the SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India, which is a regulatory body of the capital market, has played a very important role in increasing the number of investors who are joining the capital market. In the 80s and 90s, there were many malpractices that were being adopted by the various stock exchanges, the brokers and the intermediaries. So, in order to protect the interest of the investors, the Securities and Exchange Board of India was being formed, right? So, SEBI basically acts as a regulator, as a promoter, right, as a developer of the, means their role is as a protective of the stock markets, of the capital market, as a regulator and as a developer, right. So SEBI has performed various functions in various capacity, and over a period of time the interest of the investors has always been the prime responsibility of the SEBI, and for which the various measures, various regulations, procedures, are being formed time to time, so that the transparency in the capital market system, transparency in the security market system remains. Whosoever the stakeholder is, whether it is corporates, the companies which are listed in the stock exchange, whether it is intermediaries in the form of brokers, in the form of the stock exchanges, in the form of underwriters, lead managers, all these intermediaries plays a role which is expected from them. When I use the word which is expected from them, means they follow the rules and regulation of the land, so that the interest of the investors is being protected, nobody is being cheated, and so that people have more confidence in the capital market, people have more confidence in the security market, so that more and more investments come in the capital market and the security market. Still in India, despite of all efforts by the various agencies, a very large part of the savings is being parked in bank fixed deposits, gold and real estate, right? So, and there is a need that, and over a period of time it is also being seen that capital market, the stock exchange, the security markets have given better return than any other class of asset. I am talking of the long run. Short run the returns may fluctuate, but in the long run it has given a better return. At least it can beat inflation, right? It can give good returns over a period of time, which is certainly more than any fixed deposits or any of these type of instruments, right? So there must be steps which are being taken by the different agencies, so that the interest of the investors is being protected. So time to time, SEBI has taken various measures to protect the investors' interest, right, and the investors' protection. So in the previous lecture also, in my first lecture on investor protection, I talked about the various roles of the SEBI. So I will continue with that. So SEBI has taken various steps to protect the investor interest, which can be classified as like issue of regulation and guidelines to ensure transparency in operations, avoid exploitation of investors, right? Means there must be transparency in the system, the operational part, whether it is stock exchanges, whether it is brokers, right? So certain guidelines are being followed. So detailed guidelines are being formulated by SEBI, so that the transparent, like say for example, if today you sell a share in the stock market, immediately on your mobile, the information will come that this transaction has been made. What you know? Because earlier in the 80s, when there was used to be a ring, and in the ring the brokers used to meet each other and they used to made deal on behalf of the clients. So the investor had no knowledge that what is the actual price at which the deal has taken place, at which the share has been dealt, right? At which price the share has been dealt, right? And whether actual transaction has taken place or not. Supposing you give an order of buying 1000 share of a X company at 100 rupees, and by the end of the day, the price increased from 100 rupees to 105 rupees. Because there is no transparency, there used to be no transparency in the 80s, the broker could have said that your deal could not take place because I couldn't find a seller of this share, right? It means the 5 rupees, actually the broker had bought the share, but the broker did not reveal, or if it revealed, it did not reveal the true quantity. He might have bought the 1000 share, but he said only 500 share could have been purchased. So this 500 shares, and there is an increase in the price of 5 rupees, he might have sold on the same day itself, right? Thereby making a profit. So you are being deprived of the extra 5 rupees increase in the share price, which you could have made had there been a proper information. But today, the moment you make the transaction, right, SEBI has formulated such rules and there are certain guidelines, right, to the stock exchanges, to the brokers, that immediately on a real-time basis, right, immediately on your mobile the information will come. And there is a screen-based trading system in the country, right? Both BSE and NSE have a screen-based trading. You can see, if you are there at your system, you can see that transaction is taking place and what price transaction is taking place. So what I am trying to say is that there is a larger degree of transparency that is coming in the Indian capital market, and that is what the role of the SEBI is. So issue of regulations and guidelines to ensure transparency in operations and avoid exploitations of investors. The example which I was just giving, it was a clear case of exploitation of investor. Now it is not possible. That type of exploitation is not possible. So SEBI has also introduced Securities Ombudsman Scheme 2003 for protecting investment. I will be talking of this Ombudsman scheme. Investors' education and public interest advertisements were encouraged by SEBI to create awareness among investors about their rights. Investors Protection and Education Fund was established to meet this purpose. Friends, if you open any business paper, whether it is Economic Times, Business Standard, Financial Express, or for that matter any paper, means print media, or any business magazine, or even business channels, the electronic media, you will find that at one point or the other, you will come across an advertisement by the SEBI, which the aim of the advertisement is to enhance the knowledge of the investor. They might be telling about the rights and duties of the investor. They might be telling about a particular instruments. Say, I have seen many times advertisement in the advertisement, or I will say SEBI's programs in the electronic media about telling about the various instruments. Say, for example, just to take a raw example, like mutual funds. There are various types of schemes of the mutual funds. So SEBI time and again educate the investors that the different schemes have different merits and demerits. So unless you are aware that what are the weaknesses of this scheme, what are the strong point of this scheme, particular scheme, like say for example, there are debt scheme, there are large cap schemes, means large cap funds, there are mid cap funds, there are multiple cap funds, there are small cap funds. Each of these schemes have its own merits and demerits. So SEBI tries to educate the investors of merits of these demerits of these schemes. In the schools and colleges, on a continuous basis, SEBI educates the young population of this country, so that the interest of this young population or the awareness of this young population of the country can be increased of the capital market in the country. Even these days in the school curriculum, in the college curriculum, these papers, and that is why we are discussing in this lecture also that fundamental of investment. So all these are being done by the SEBI. So education, investors' education and public interest advertisements were encouraged by SEBI to create awareness among investors about their rights, investors' protection and education fund. So I mean, these days there is a fund called Investors Education and Protection and Education Fund, which has especially been created by SEBI to create awareness about the capital market in the country. There is a grievance redressal system, which is known as scores, was set up to deal with the complaints of the investors. If you have any complaint regarding any of your investment in the capital market, you can complain it through the portal and through the scores. Means there is on scores you can lodge your complaint. So investor can lodge their complaint online and track its status. That not only lodging the complaint, but what is happening on that complaint, where it has been reviewed on a real-time basis. At any point of time, you can see to it that each complaint is being given a number, and the moment you put that number in the password, you can see that at what level this complaint is. Means if it is related to a company, say for example, right? So this, when you lodge a complaint through this course, right? So this complaint will be directed to the company. Company may direct it to its registrar, right? And what action registrar has taken, right? At what stage the complaint is, this you can always track on a real-time basis. So there is a very strong grievance redressal system, which is known as scores, that has been created by SEBI. Investor can lodge their complaints online and track its status. SEBI requires disclosure of important information related to financial aspects of the company, right? Any information which is price sensitive information, unless, I mean, at first instance, this information has to be given to the stock exchanges, and stock exchanges through its information system discloses this information to the public in large, so that every investor must have a level playing field. Any information which is price sensitive information which can impact the share prices must be disclosed to all public at all levels, right? So that equal information is available to everybody. When I use the word equal information, so that easy available of information should be there to everybody, so that the inside information or inside trading can be avoided. Other measures include regular inspection, audit and inquiries to penalize fraudulent and unfair trade practices. Whether it is stock exchanges, whether it is stock brokers, whether it is different intermediaries, SEBI has its own system through which it makes regular audit of these brokers, sub-brokers, stock exchanges and various intermediaries. And if any fraudulent practices or unfair trade practices is found, there is a very heavy penalty that is being imposed by SEBI, and in some cases those brokers, say for example, if there is a broker is involved, the broker can be debarred from the trading in the stock market. Many times in the past, right, they have imposed either very heavy penalties on any of these intermediaries who is involved in any type of fraudulent practice. Because see, the idea is that if people will not have the confidence in the system, because the money is involved, and when the money is involved, people must have confidence in the system, and confidence will come when they will feel that there is a transparency in the system, right? So through transparency also the public confidence will come. So in order to create a public confidence, investors' confidence, it is important that there must be a proper system in place, so that each individual have interest and have a belief that the money which they have invested, it is being rightly used for the purpose for which it is being given, the purpose for which it is being invested, for the same purpose that money is being used. Not only money is being used for the same purpose, but it is being used judiciously, and then only they will get a good return, right? So for this very purpose, regular inspections, like these days you must have seen many advertisements in newspapers, especially in the financial papers, that every quarter these companies have to come out with their quarterly results. The idea is, earlier company used to disclose their balance sheet and the profit and loss income statement after a year and then after 6 months. Now every 3 months, so that people can track that how the company is performing, right? So there will be more information to a common man, to a common investor. Investors may have complaint against a listed company or a registered intermediaries, right? Means how you will redress your complaint. One is through scores, right? SEBI has formulated various inspection committees, various audit committees, right? And if there is a complaint, you can directly put your grievance to the stock exchanges. If the stock exchanges do not solve that problem, right, you can make the complaint, you can get your complaint redressal through the SEBI also, right? So investor may have a complaint against listed company or registered intermediaries. The complaint at first will approach to the concerned company, and if the investor is not satisfied with the response, then the investor can lodge his or her grievance at the office of BSE and NSE located at different places, right? So these days online complaint is being lodged, right? Those who are not able to lodge their complaint online, there are different places at which the BSE and NSE offices are there where the complaint can be lodged. So BSE and NSE have their designated investor grievance redressal committees. Means these stock exchanges have their redressal committees, grievance redressal committees. Through these grievance redressal committees, their complaints are being addressed. Means they are being taken care of. An investor may file case under arbitration if the grievance is still not resolved. Means you file a complaint to the stock exchanges, right? So if you are not satisfied with your grievance, with your complaint, then through arbitration also your complaint can be resolved. SEBI has its own office also, a separate office which is known as Office of Investor Assistance and Education, popularly known as OIAE, right? Office of Investors Assistance and Education, to receive complaint from investors. Means there are 3-step system. You lodge a complaint to the company. If the company does not listen to your complaint or does not able to solve your complaint, or you are not satisfied with the company's response, then you can you can lodge your complaint to the stock exchanges, whether BSE or NSE, wherever it is being listed, right? Even if you are not satisfied, then there is a grievance redressal system in the stock exchange itself. There also you can take up the matter. Not only at the stock exchange level, at the company level, even SEBI has its own office, right? Or department, where this redressal system is there, which is known as Office of Investor Assistance and Education, to receive complaints from investors. So OIAE provides education assistance to investors to resolve their queries. Means how their queries will be resolved. Not only they will help in getting their grievance redressal, right, but also they will themselves will take steps so that their grievance of the investor is being taken care of. So investors who are not satisfied with the judgment of the concerned stock exchanges about their grievance then may approach to the SEBI. SEBI has launched a web portal called Scores for lodging complaints. This I have already explained about the scores. SEBI can handle complaints against various entities as per SEBI Act 1992. Means as per in the SEBI Act 1992, there are certain systems which have been designed and against whom the complaint can be, like supposing if you have a complaint against the insurance company, right? So insurance company or the insurance agency or the insurance intermediary, like insurance agent, then SEBI will not act on it. Then there is a separate agency in India which regulates the insurance business in India, known as IRDA, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority, right? So you have to get your complaint redressed from that agency, right? In India, the SEBI acts against these different intermediaries. So Securities Contract Act 1956 and different other acts means under SEBI Act 1992, Securities Contract Act 1956, and other acts. Under these acts, your grievance redressal system or your grievance are being addressed. So complaints can be registered against listed companies. If you want to get your complaint registered through the SEBI, following are the intermediaries or following are the bodies against which you can lodge a complaint through to the SEBI. All listed companies, approximately in India, more than 5,500 companies which are listed in the stock exchanges. I'm saying only listed companies, right? So listed companies you can lodge complaint to the SEBI. Stock brokers and sub-brokers, all those brokers and sub-brokers who are registered with the SEBI. See, time and again, SEBI, through its various advertisement, through its various education program, right, educate the investor that you invest only through SEBI registered brokers and sub-brokers. If any broker or sub-broker is not registered with the SEBI, right, you should not deal through that broker. Means if you want to buy or sell your shares or your securities, financial instruments, you must deal only through the registered brokers who are registered with the SEBI. Depository and depository participants. As you are aware that we have already discussed in the past, there are two important depositories in this country, NSDL and CDSL, right? So CDSL has almost 7 crore, approximately 7 crore accounts. CDSL is the largest in terms of the number of accounts it handles, depository accounts it handles, and NSDL has the remaining accounts. So depository, and there are many depository participants. We have discussed in length about depository and depository participants. At this point of time, I am referring that if you have a complaint against depository, I'm supposing you have some shares in a particular depository, and one fine day you find that some of your shares are missing. So there must be some fault on the part of the depository participant or the depository. So you can lodge a complaint against the depository or depository participant to the SEBI, right? Mutual funds. Mutual fund industry in India is growing at a very fast rate, right? And a very large sum of money is coming in India through mutual funds. Those people who don't want to deal in the stock markets on a direct basis, they don't want to buy and sell shares, or either because of lack of knowledge or whatever the reasons may be, mutual fund is a good method of investing in the stock market. So the size of the mutual fund industry in India is increasing at a very fast rate. So if the investor has any grievance against the mutual funds, right, so you can lodge your complaint against that mutual fund or when I'm saying mutual funds means any of the scheme or any of the mutual fund house or something you feel that you are being cheated, you can lodge a complaint. The cheating can be like supposing, for example, just give you a raw example, right? We have given your application for the redemption of fund, right? You have some mutual fund investment, say for example, you have a mutual fund under a particular scheme of rupees 10 lakh. And the rule of the law is that they say, as per the SEBI, within 3 days, your fund must be transferred in your account. But supposing more than 3 days have passed and the money has not been transferred in your account. So you can lodge a complaint to either the mutual fund directly, or if it is not your complaint is not being addressed by the mutual fund, you can lodge a complaint to the SEBI. And SEBI will take up your complaint with the concerned mutual fund house, and it will see to it that your complaint is being redressed, means their complaint is being addressed. Portfolio managers, right? So these portfolio managers, there are large sum of money which is being parked by the investors to the under PMS scheme. PMS means you give your money to a broker, sub-broker, or through some mutual fund house, and they will invest on your behalf, and for that they will charge some fee, right? So these mutual fund managers or under PMS scheme, right, large sum of money is being parked. So if you have some grievance against that, you can lodge a complaint to SEBI. Underwriters, right? So underwriters are the people who underwrites any security at the time of issue of the security. So any of the person has any complaint against these intermediaries, means stock exchanges, listed companies, depositories, mutual fund, portfolio managers, underwriters, lead managers, for that matter any of the intermediary. So you can lodge your complaint with the SEBI. Scores I have already talked about. Score is a centralized, just to repeat the things, Scores is a centralized web portal launched by SEBI in May 2012 to redress grievance of investors. Scores facilitates investors to lodge complaint online with SEBI and subsequently view its status. Before raising a complaint in Score, the investor should first approach the concerned company or intermediary against whom there is a complaint. If complaint is not addressed satisfactorily, then the user can register the complaint with the Score. Right? And now let me talk in brief about the salient features of Score. Score is an online platform which is available in 24/7, means any point of time you can lodge a complaint through Score. It enables investor to launch their complaint related to security market, right? Means only of complaints of the nature of the security market that can be launched through Scores. All complaints against listed companies and SEBI registered intermediaries such as depositories, stock exchanges, portfolio managers are dealt through Scores. Investor can check their status of the complaints online, right? So friends, there are many other measures which are being taken by the SEBI for protecting the interest of the investors, right? So I'll continue with that in my next lecture on investors protection. Thank you very much.